Thank you very much for joining us this evening. Good
Absolutely.
afternoon, Orlando in Florida.
That's right. That's
Evening
right,
in
Orlando
England.
Flow.
My name is Dr. Patrick Singh, and today I'm introducing you to one great person, and that is Jonathan Nicolas. Jonathan Nicolas will be sharing his story on how Les Brown changed his life. And Jonathan will be publishing his story in this upcoming book, Les Brown Changed Our Lives. So he is a co-author of this book, and he has a great story to share with you this evening. Thank you very much for watching. So, Jonathan, how are you?
I am wonderful. Thank you for having me, Doctor.
Yes, welcome to the Greatness Show.
That's absolutely right. I appreciate you having me.
Oh, yes. So, just to let our viewers know, could you tell us about you, what you do, and a little bit about your work? And yes.
Well, once again, my name is Jonathan Nicholas. I am a motivational comedian and Christian actor. Some things to know about me is that I have a passion for life. I have a passion for people, especially that of people that suffer from pain. And my niche, more or less, is to help people discover perspective on their pain, on how to unlock a bit of the secrets of themselves that they didn't know lied there because of the cloak of pain, because of the kind of false presence that pain typically gives people. So I just have a love for people and I love a love for life. And I think every waking moment is a gift given from our Creator to start over again.
Wow, that's great. Motivational comedian. It seems to be the first time I'm hearing that word. Could you
Yeah.
tell me about that kind of work and in what places you do that work and how you work with your clients?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, motivational comedian stems from I started off as a stand-up comedian, loved making people laugh. It just so happened that I was told I was good at it. Nothing that I worked hard at doing. Something kind of just came natural to me. When the motivational element came in, when I heard about the great Les Brown, it just made sense to merge the two together because there's not enough people laughing at their pain. And I think pain, something that comedians do. Comedians tell the truth on stage. Most of the time, it's regarding themselves, but never regarding true situations, especially to the audience. So therefore, I just love to make people laugh and help give them perspective on their current situation.
Oh, that is exciting. That's inspiring. So, as a
Yeah.
motivational comedian, that's great.
Hmm.
Has things always been like that, or there has been a change in your life? Could you tell us about your background in terms of your childhood and whether things have always been the way they are today for you, so that we can learn a bit from you and how you've managed the experiences of life?
Well, no, it wasn't always that way. I wasn't always someone that could turn any situation into something funny. I experienced a lot of pain growing up. I suffered abuse growing up from the hands of my mother. There was no father in the picture, so there was no guidance. There was no man, role model in my life, so I had no one to truly look up to. So, laughter came about when I just didn't have a choice. It was either I just keep diving deeper into my pain or I'd make light of every situation that I was in. But it wasn't always like that. That's something that it took for me to develop. It took for me to stand in my truth and always just kind of stick to what I know. So it was hard, having relationships with people and trusting people. But I always trusted people and gave my heart out there. And that was part of the process, getting hurt, figuring out what worked, figuring out, when I made people laugh, who was genuine about the laughter that I was having them have, or who was using it to mock me. But all of that shaped me. So growing up was rough in childhood. I grew up with four other siblings, and I was probably the black sheep and the special individual out of everybody. But it was that pain that separated me from them and what I did with it.
So, that is very action packed and circumstance packed childhood. When
Yeah.
you say you grew up special, what does
Hmm.
that mean?
I mean, I was chosen. I think that God created me for a specific reason, and I think I was chosen to go through the pain that I experienced because He knew that I can go through that particular type of pain that I experienced. And I always knew that I was special because I was always the odd one out. I was always the one that my mother targeted with her abuse over everyone else. Um, I always was the class clown, so to speak. I didn't give myself that title, but I was always that special individual that always made other people smile around me. It wasn't so much people making me smile, but it was what I did for others. And then I saw what me being myself, how it affected others. That let me know that clearly I had something special. It just took me a long time to figure out what that special thing was.
Wow. And being special and looking at the school environment, did that impact on you in terms of your educational progress and how teachers perceived you or how students treated you?
Yeah, well, I made a lot of friends that with the students and teachers. Teachers will always like a student that is willing to learn and willing to handle reproof and constructive criticism. So that was never much of a difficulty for me because I was always looking for that parent figure in anyone that was older than me. So I kind of made good friends with teachers, so to speak. So it kind of helped me develop myself, develop my learning skills because I was always eager to want to learn from them. Because as a child who's not being taught by their parent, actually being taught what not to do, children naturally yearn for teaching. So being a student in the classroom, I yearned for that teaching, and they didn't know that I was actually looking for a bit of the parenting aspect of that as well. They didn't know that. They didn't know that they were being a bit of adoptive parent to me, but I knew that, so I kind of used that to kind of strengthen my skills and develop some learning tactics and whatnot. Had some trouble getting through school, but it did help me process the knowledge that I had at the time and always just looking to learn more from them.
And the kind of experiences that you went through at school made you a stronger person. Because sometimes when people meet those kind of life experiences, they give up on life.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know what? I've been in some situation that I wanted to give up on life, but I realized that going through each and every pain, each and every circumstance that wanted to more or less defeat me, I just rose above it. I faced it I one thing that I think I speak about in the book, I've mentioned that I was homeless during high school. And that was a tough experience being homeless during high school. Going to school and thinking that you're gonna, leave school, school lets out, thinking you're gonna go home to work on your schoolwork, and there's no home to go home to. So that was a tough experience. So school was important for me, and completing my high school experience was very important for me, and it was difficult. Being homeless and not having any kind of parents to turn to. So, but it only made me tougher. It only groomed the God given gifts I had inside.
So, being homeless and saying you're homeless growing up, and especially during your school years. So, where would you go? What would you do after school then? Where would you go back to? Because, like, sometimes I guess sometimes the teachers may not even understand you. They give you homework, thinking you're going to do your home. So, what were you doing after
You
school?
know, Well, I still kept busy. I had friends that would hang out with. They would probably wonder why I was hanging out with them so long. They didn't know that I was just kind of taking a breather before I had to go back to a particular park I hung out at. So I would, when there was nowhere else to go and I had to leave, I would go back and return to this park called Troy Park in Brooklyn. It's on Glenwood and Troy Avenue. I would hang out there. I would still read my studies. I would still kind of do my homework the best I could. But it was challenging. But I didn't let everyone know of my circumstances. But there was one day I did inform a friend of mine, and he intervened in my life and turned things around for me.
So, how did that friend turn things around for you then, from where you
Well,
were and
well, what it was. Go ahead.
yes,
I'm sorry.
yes. How did that friend help you? deal with the challenges of life at that moment in time?
Well, it was a friend named Keith Palmer, real good friend of mine. We were on the baseball team together. One morning, I woke up from the park. I headed to school. I got to school, and we had a baseball meeting. And he was there on the team. And I've always been one to, someone asked me a question, I'm going to give you the answer. I'm not going to dance around it. So he said, what's up, brother? How you doing? What's wrong? And that what's wrong tapped into a very sensitive part of me and
Mhm.
gave me the opportunity to speak to my truth. You know how most people, when you ask them, hey, how you doing? What's going on? Most people say, oh, I'm good. I'm good. I take that more personal and I give you on an honest answer. So he asked me what's wrong, and then I then started speaking to him and telling him that I was homeless. That caused me to be very emotional, but it felt good to get out my truth of what was going on. Well, speaking my truth and standing my ground allowed him to see the need for what was needed in my life. And he then said, "You know what? Don't worry about it." He went on that afternoon, spoke to his mother, told her of the circumstances that I was in, and later on that evening, they took me into their home, and I was able to live with them for 6 months, and that really helped me out at a time in my life. I'll never forget him. His name is Keith Palmer. I love him very much, and his mother's name is Doreen White, and just they were always there for me, and I greatly appreciate them.
So, in other words, as I say, a problem shared, a problem solved. So it's
There
very
you
hard.
go.
It's very hard to help someone if you don't know
Yeah,
what they're going through. But the moment you
absolutely,
have a problem, then you're able to work together and find a solution. Well, ladies
absolutely,
and gentlemen,
absolutely.
instead you've just joined us, my name is Dr. Patrick Senge, the upcoming author of Let's Brown Change Our Lives. And I'm speaking to one of the co-authors, Jonathan Nicolas, from Orlando in Florida, and is sharing his
Hmm.
story on how he ran away from pain towards Les Brown. So, running away from pain, looking at that experience you've just shared with us, and how did you end up knowing this person called Les Brown, who you think and you're saying changed your life?
Well, it's funny that you say running away from pain because I often thought about that running away from pain. Didn't know that I actually ran away from pain until I actually ran into the of this person named Les Brown. I relocated where I was in Florida at the time, and I guess quote unquote did run away to the south of Florida. I made my way all the way down to Homestead, pursuing my acting and comedy career. But I was in one of the darkest places in my life where I couldn't face who I was. I had demons, so to speak. I had some problems on the inside of me that I didn't know how to resolve. And then I came across a friend of mine who was always kind of there for me. I can always call upon him. His name is John Granger. I reached out to him. I said, "Hey, friend, listen, I got a tough situation here. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if I'm coming or going." He then said, "Man, listen, I understand you're in a tough spot." He said, "Have you ever heard of a man named Les Brown?" I said, "No, I never heard of him." He said, "Do me a favor, look him up tonight on YouTube, and I think he could make sense of a lot of things that's going on with you." So I said, okay. I took him upon that, and then I plugged my headphones in later on that evening, and I pulled up a Les Brown motivational compilation video on YouTube, and then here comes this voice, this energetic voice that just comes on and says, you got greatness inside you, and he just speaks about the will that you have as a person. But there was a poem that he said just stuck with me. I mean, there was a poem that he said. I'm going to try to quote it. He said, "Many flowers bloom unceasingly and lose their cold, bitter sweetness on cold desert air." And he said that translate to that the world would never get to know the many talented people that are in this world because they fall through the cracks and they never just manifest out of them because they just let time and life pass them by. And that stuck out to me. I felt like he was speaking to me directly, and I had to do something about it. And listening to him, I heard God's voice through this man speaking. I heard the voice of God, with which to me more or less translates to a voice of reasoning, wisdom, being told, and that then stemmed from me starting to read I started to read Les Brown's books. I was listening to him 20 minutes at night, 20 minutes in the morning, because he said the first 20 minutes of what you read and what you listen to in the morning changes the course of your day. So I started to read his books, listen to his videos, and exercise, and then I started reading the Bible, and I started to get all this ancient knowledge that predates our existence, and that completely turned my life around.
Wow. So Les Brown breathed the life into you. In Les Brown's voice, you heard the voice of God.
Yes, yes, yeah. I believe he was a vessel sent to this world to be used to change the lives of millions of people, and I think he's done that. And I'm just pleased to know that he's mentored me, and I've actually been able to spend some time with him.
Oh, that's brilliant. So you're saying he's mentoring you. Does that mean that as well you're becoming a motivational speaker like him? Or what other things have
Well,
you?
I think Les Brown has mentored all of us. I mean, I don't think that I haven't been able to spend a half an hour or extended time with him, but I've made use of the time that we have had. Those with listening to him through YouTube, and then being a part of the Les Brown Maximum Achievement team, spending the time with him, just a few moments that we've been able to have on the phone or in person. I maximize the time with people that I'm with. I think it takes a certain level of learning and capacity to do that, in which right now, Patrick, I'm learning from you. Just being able to spend this time and exchange knowledge of power increases our own capacity with one another. So that's where I get him mentoring me comes from.
And as someone said, knowledge is a new currency. So it's not about
Better believe it.
exchanging, it's not about exchanging money. It's about
Mm-mm.
exchanging of the knowledge, which is going to create even greater things than just money.
Absolutely.
Yes. So in terms
Money
of,
is no object.
yes. So in terms of the knowledge, then, and looking at the kind of knowledge you got from Les Brown and how he supported you along the way. And you say that
Yeah.
in listening to Les Brown, you as well discovered God. Could you tell us more about that? Does it mean that before him, you're not hearing the voices of God? Because at one moment you made reference to hearing demons, that kind of thing. So how did that have an impact, meeting him have an impact on you coming or taking on or having a religion, in other words?
Well, the demons that I was referencing are the pain on the inside, the unspoken pain, the war, the spiritual warfare that goes on the inside of a person. Les Brown speaks about being able to monitor the conversation in your head, about telling that voice, "Shut up," as he likes to put it. So that's the what I was speaking about, referencing my demons, my unresolved problems. Those things were unresolved up until the time that I was able to hear Les Brown and take more of an effective focus on annihilating that issue within me. So when it referenced hearing God through Les Brown, I believe that the wisdom of a higher creator, it was just spoke through Les Brown, and then I heard distinctively the difference between just Les Brown speaking to me and something greater, which is a bit of you can call it my self-conscious, you can call it that little voice in your head, but that made me dive a little deeper into reading my Bible. And as a spiritual person, I just dove deeper into reading the scriptures, and I started to learn things about forgiveness. I learned about just how to resolve pain, how God does not the spirit of fear. He doesn't give us that. The scriptures giving us the spirit of a sound mind, and of courage. So that then set me on a path to learn about. Someone like to say that he's an apostle. Some like to say that he's a prophet, but I like to call him my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I then persecution, and that set me on down on the baptized, which completely catapulted my existence into a north direction, if you will.
Wow, that is amazing. What a transformation that was, I can imagine.
Yeah, yeah, it was absolutely.
Wow.
Hmm.
So, as we come towards the end of this show, one of the things I've been thinking about you, and as you speak, I see the greatness in you.
Thank
And
you.
I think it's St. Paul, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere in the Bible, where it says, greater is he that is in you
That is within me. Absolutely.
that is in the world. And I
That's
believe
right.
there's a lot of greatness in you that is going to
Absolutely.
manifest and share with
Absolutely.
the world. So at the moment, how are you sharing your great life with the rest of the population? How can people get in touch with you to know what you do so that you can help them with your life experience and what you've gone through and what you've grown through as a consequence? How can they get in touch with you so they can as well support them to deal with pain?
Well,
Yes.
everyone out there can you guys can get in contact with me via my email. It's www.johnnicolas-mca.com. That's JONNICOLAS hyphen MCA.com. You can reach out to me via Instagram. That's johnnicholasmca.com. I'm also on Twitter, johnnicholas33. On Twitter, you can reach out to me there. I'm on Snapchat, John Nicholas LOL. You can reach me there. You can reach out to me via my email, johnnicholas-mca.com. You were referencing having greater is he that is within me. It really boils down to, like Les Brown said, to be transformed by the renewal of your mind. If most people can understand that you have the ability to choose to transform yourself by the renewal of your mind, catapulted by the pain that you've been specifically chosen to endure. And that's what I truly love to talk about. I truly love to help people with pain. We live in a world where people are feel subject to take their own lives or take the lives of others only because they want someone to talk. I have blogs on my website that speaks about pain, that speaks about love. People can also, you can email me and you can book me through my website at any speaking event that you may have, whether it be at you're a CEO at a corporation that wants to fire up your employees, or whether you're a dean of a university or a principal of a high school, or whether you're a pastor or a preacher at a church and you want to just inspire your church members on the love of God, or if you want to just allow people to get greatness from within you. Brown has given me the ability to partner with him and all of his greatness, and I bring the same energy, just a different perspective on laughter to the table. I encourage you guys to Basenge's book that's coming out in July, where you can read parts of my story in there. I will be coming out with my own book as well, and I'll be coming out with my programs where I do one-on-one coaching with people. And I'm truly trying to change lives one person at a time.
Wow, that's mind blowing. That's mind blowing. Thank you very much for the
Yeah,
great work that you're doing in the world. And I'm
absolutely,
sure
absolutely.
you're a great gift to the world that through your life, through your experience, people are able to transform their lives. People are able to go to another place and transcend their pain and change that pain into something which is going to be powerful and make them live the best of their lives. That's great. That's
Absolutely.
thank you very much.
That's the one thing that's specific to us all, Patrick, is our story. And I think it's our responsibility to share our story with everyone. That's the one thing that could relate us all. And that's the one thing that identifies us all, a lot like our social security. Your story is your only personal story. No one has that same story that you have. You might have some things in common, which is why it's best that we share our stories so we can realize that the millions of people in this world, all diversity, colors, ethnicities, all different parts of the world, we're all connected by our story. We all have pain. We all have love. We all experience a mom and a dad and a brother and a sister and friends. And it's what joins us all together. That's why there's only one race. That's the human race. And we're all connected by our own personal stories. So if more people can share their stories with everyone, I believe that we can truly heal this world together.
And exactly that's why I've created this platform. First of all, giving the ability, the opportunity to people to share their story. And the moment you share that stories, whether it's on audio or video, and
Absolutely.
importantly, writing that story in a book, then it becomes eternal. That story becomes eternalized. It's there forever. Me,
Amen.
your
Absolutely.
grandchildren, your great grandchildren will be there, will be able to read that story, and they'll be able to say, look, this is the legacy, this is the message that our granddad has left us.
Absolutely. 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 It lives in, and that's the one thing. Once you tell your story, it stays there forever. So many people beyond our generation can continue to read it and continue to be inspired. It isn't just about me, you right now, Patrick. You know, after we are gone and return to dust, Patrick, you know, many people will come behind us and be able to read your book and the many books that you have, and we'll come out with more because I'm going to speak that into existence, that you're going to come out with more inspiring books and continue to inspire men like me so that we can leave a legacy behind for future generations to learn the secrets within our, don't make the same mistakes that we.
Oh, thank you very much, Jonathan. Thank you. It has been a pleasure having you this evening or this
Thank you.
afternoon if you're in
That's right.
Orlando, Florida. And
Hmm.
we hope you've enjoyed listening to this great story. And if you can connect with Jonathan and it help you deal with pain, go beyond your pain and transform it into possibility,
Absolutely.
transform it into power to create your greatest life. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Enjoy your evening.
Same to you.
Okay. Okay, brother. Goodbye.